Let's get you a big fall update for us in Colorado. First of all, peak will likely be this weekend, September the 26th through the 8th, for most of the main areas in Colorado. Now, the other big question you've got is whether or not those leaves survived our most recent storm. So I'm going to show you a map here below. This is showing where we saw those snowfall totals, and where you're seeing those yellows, that's where you likely saw 4 to 6 inches plus of snow. That would generally be at or above 11,000 feet, maybe a touch below 10,700, 10,800 feet or above for the central and northern Front Range. Now, that means between about tree line and down to about 11,000 feet, a lot of those leaves up by Rocky Mountain National Park and the central and northern Front Range, including, say, Berthoud Pass, probably fell down. There will still be some leaves left over, but a lot of those leaves probably peaked earlier this week. But for most of the main areas, let's talk about, say, Guanella Pass or Kenosha Pass. Here we only saw about 1 to 4 inches of snow, so most of those leaves likely still intact in those areas. So point being, for most of the high country, most of those leaves probably survived that storm that we just saw. So that's overall good news. However, because of our drought and a lot of the stress that the trees are under, this will likely be the peak weekend, because the peak will probably be a bit shorter this year. We've talked about this quite a bit, but the peak will likely be a bit shorter, maybe a 7 to 10, maybe 7 to 12 day window in terms of that peak for us in the mountains. So by October the 1st through the 3rd, by the first weekend of October, you may start to see more leaves on the ground than leaves up on the trees. So if you want to catch those peak colors, this is probably going to end up being the peak weekend for most of us here in Colorado.